Here's today's question. Would you ever intentionally or consciously choose to lose money? By the end of today's video, I'm going to show you how you may be losing millions of dollars unknowingly and unnecessarily, and how stopping those losses could be a game changer for your future. I'm Matt Kennedy, the founder of Kennedy Wealth Design and the author of the best-selling book, Untapped Wealth. For financial advice and business coaching for a better business and a better life, please subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified when we post new videos. So to understand how we might be losing millions unknowingly and unnecessarily, let's start with how most people make their financial decisions. And so let's look at maybe the average person comes out of college, comes out of graduate school, medical school, dental school, starts a business, gets moving, gets married, and decides it's time to buy a house. And so when they go to buy a house, they go to a mortgage broker, and the mortgage broker gives them their options, and they look at maybe a 15-year mortgage and a 30-year mortgage, and they look at how much interest they're going to pay on each, and maybe they seek out a little bit of advice. And let's assume this person takes this house and they decide that they're going to use a 15-year mortgage and that they can also afford to pay $500 extra, because when they look at that amortization schedule, it scares them to death, and they say, I want to get this interest paid for as fast as possible, and this is what we can afford to do in our budget. And as soon as they make that decision, these days, we put it on automatic draft, and then we just move on. We move on to the next decision, we set it and forget it. The next decision we have to make is a retirement account. And so maybe your company has a 401k, or if you're a business owner, you have a 401k that you can contribute to, a profit sharing plan, a SEP IRA, whatever it is, there's this retirement decision that folks have to make. And so they look at their budget and they decide, okay, wait a second, let's go ahead. We can afford to put the max amount allowable by the IRS into this 401k, and that's what they do most of the time. Then we set it on automatic draft, automatic deduction out of your paycheck. If you're a business owner, it might be automatically deducted throughout the year, or you might write one check at the end of the year. But we set up the plan, we decide it's good for us, and then we move on to the next decision. The next decision is cars. How are we going to pay for cars? Are we going to finance the cars? Are we going to pay cash for the cars? Are we going to lease the cars through the business? Whatever criteria we use to make the decision, we make the decision and then move on. We have kids. The next decision is college. How are we going to pay for their college education? Are we going to do a 529 plan? Are we hoping they get scholarships? Whatever decision we make to try to plan for college, we make that decision and move on. What I'm showing you here in the picture that I want you to see is that every one of these decisions gets made in their own compartment. Now, usually they get made with an expert in that compartment. For instance, the mortgage decision gets made with a mortgage expert, but many times the mortgage expert doesn't stop and say, listen, before you guys make this decision, why don't we call your 401k administrator and your CPA and make sure that this is the right decision, and that this is going to, let's understand how this is going to affect all of the other decisions. Let's call the guy who finances your cars and make sure that he's in the loop here and he knows what we're trying to do, or she knows what we're trying to do, so that now we can make sure that all of these decisions are coordinated. And so what ends up happening is, because these decisions get made in their own compartment, they get made as if they do not have the effect on any of the other financial decisions that we make. And so we have a very, what I call, compartmentalized financial plan. And in many ways, in looking at all of these financial decisions, the net effect of what happens when we're making decisions like this is that we end up with this financial junk drawer. Do you have a junk drawer at your house? I certainly do at my house, and it's got batteries. I looked in it the other day, and I was digging around looking for something, and I found a quadruple A battery. Now, I don't know what I needed a quadruple A battery for, but obviously I needed a quadruple A battery. And so I went to the store. I drove to the store. I'm sure I asked someone, hey, where do I find a battery for this thing? I found out later it's the pin for my Surface Pro here. But at the time when I was looking in my junk drawer, I didn't know that's what it was. And so I went to Best Buy. I said, I need this battery. Can you help me find it? We bought it. I used it. but it ended up in my junk drawer. And now years later, I found it and had to scratch my head and go, now, why did I do that? What did I need this for? In many ways, that's how folks' financial world looks like. It becomes a junk drawer. We buy products and we buy into strategies that at the time we understand and make sense. But over time, we forget what we bought them for. We forget how we were trying to use them. And because the person who recommended that was an expert in that compartment, we have no idea how these financial decisions made in their own compartments, kind of with blinders on, impacts the rest of our financial world. So let me walk through an illustration on why this is very important and how we could be losing money. You know, this house decision, we like to take that 15-year mortgage, or this person liked to take that 15-year mortgage and pay extra because every time we make a payment over here on the left-hand side, we see that the principal goes down. And that's a good thing. That's not bad. We like that. We like that because when the principal goes down, what happens to the interest? The interest goes down as well. And we like that because we don't want to pay too much interest, or we want to pay as little interest as possible. But if that interest is tax deductible, now you'd have to check with your tax provider to find out if your mortgage interest is tax deductible, and the tax laws have changed around that. But let's just assume in this situation that that mortgage interest is tax deductible above the standard deduction. Every time we make a principal payment, the interest goes down. And if the interest is tax deductible, what happens to the tax deduction? The tax deduction goes down. We don't really like that, because what's the net effect on our taxes when our tax deductions go down? Generally speaking, when we lose a tax deduction, our taxes go up. So look what's happening here. This person's getting up in the morning. They're putting on their clothes. They're fighting rush hour. And from Monday through Wednesday, they're earning enough money to put into one pocket called the house. And when they do that, every time they put money into that pocket, their taxes are going up. At the same time, one of the reasons that they want to put money in the 401k or the SEP IRA or some type of qualified retirement plan is because when we put money in those plans, the contributions are tax deductible. So now we're working Thursday, Friday, Saturday to earn enough money to put into the qualified plan or the 401k pocket in order to try to gain a tax deduction. So we're putting money in the house. Every time we put money in the house, our principal goes down, the interest goes down, the tax deduction goes down, but the taxes go up. At the same time, one of the reasons that we like putting money in the 401k or the profit sharing plan or the SEP IRA if you're a business owner is because that money gives us a tax deduction. So on the one hand, we're losing a tax deduction, our taxes going up. And on the other hand, we're trying to gain a tax deduction. So let me paint this picture for you. Here's Joe, and Joe wakes up every morning and he puts on his clothes and he fights rush hour and he goes to work Monday through Wednesday to put money in pocket number one, which is the house. And every time he puts money in that pocket, his taxes go up. At the same time, he is working Thursday through Saturday to put enough money into pocket number two, which is the 401k, in order to try to gain a tax deduction. So really what he's doing is he's driving down the highway of life with one foot on the brake and one foot on the gas. This is an inefficient strategy. And this house and 401k move can end up costing over $1 million of lost money, potentially, to this person. There's $1 million at stake in this decision right here. So what if, by coordinating our financial decisions, instead of compartmentalizing them, we could pay off the house in less than 15 years, and we could keep the highest possible tax deductions while doing so? That's what we want to try to do. So for more information about this, click on the link right here, right now, to apply to become my client. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up, send it out to your friends, and as always, subscribe to our channel and click on the notification bell so that you can be notified when we post new videos. Listen, I want you guys to have more money. I want you to have a better life. I want you to have a better business. Take care.